Former Uber lobbyist Mark MacGann has come forward as the source who leaked more than 100,000 company documents known as the Uber files.
These documents reportedly show the ride-hailing giant used covert technology to thwart authorities from investigating Uber's business practices. In a recently published article, the Washington Post reported Uber developed extensive systems to foil government raids. Uber reportedly acknowledged its missteps during the time covered by the so-called Uber files. They span from 2013 to 2017 and include emails, text messages, company records, and other documents concerning the company.
Joining us now is Joseph Menn. He's a technology reporter for the Washington Post. He co-authored its investigative piece on Uber. Joseph, it's pretty, amazing to read some of the stuff. Remarkable that Uber employees and their supervisors were doing, covertly foiling government investigations. Can you give us an overview of some of the sort of more stunning findings?
Sure. I think some of the most dramatic stuff would be in the emails and text exchanges. Travis Kalanick, the former CEO, is named in them. He was participating in it. He directly ordered some of this technology being used in the middle of raids. So one of the more dramatic ones is the kill switch, which is also known internally as Ripley after the alien in the movie. And what it did is it cut off access from devices, computers, phones, to the corporate networks. And lots of companies have that in case a laptop gets lost somewhere or stolen. They can cut off access to corporate email and other documents. But what was interesting is that Uber did this in the middle of raids sometimes while they were stalling the investigators who were there looking for legitimate, purposes, seeking documents about their business practices. And they would stall them and kill the switch, sometimes while pretending to be confused as to why they couldn't get access. So that was pretty dramatic. They also used a technology called Grayball, which was a fake version of the app. So if they suspected that somebody was a taxi regulator or a police officer, they would show them a fake version that showed that Uber cars were coming, but never quite getting there. And there's a lot of other subterfuge as well.
I mean, it really is eye-opening to read all of this. And you mentioned among those kind of documents that officials would seek would be documents related to business practices of Uber. Is it clear what specifically Uber may have been looking to hide?
It depends on the country. This investigation and these documents span dozens of countries around the world. A lot of it was in Europe, and Europe is generally heavily regulated, and the taxi industry is heavily regulated. And Uber, they have specific fines against unauthorized transport in private cars that aren't subject to the regulations. And there was one pretty alarming email in which one of their heads of communication said, "We're just effing illegal." Wow. It was pretty blatant that they were flouting the laws. And what Uber was trying to do was get so popular with the public and that the public would lobby politicians and make it legal. But they were going in guns blazing.
Right, they were hoping the public would get addicted to the ease of the ride-sharing app. But I know in London in particular, cab drivers have to memorize maps of the city. Like it's actually a very difficult license to get. So I can see how it would be a little tricky there. So in a statement to you, though, the senior vice president of Uber said that the company's past behavior does not align with its current values, and it's being asked not to be judged by that past behavior. What do you think? Do you believe the evolution of Uber over the last 5 years changes the weight of this story? Could it impact the ramifications the company faces as a result of it?
Sure. The company is a very different company than it was then. There's a new CEO. They've pulled out of some countries. In other countries, they're cooperating with regulators to the extent that you can use the Uber app to order an official cab. So it is very different. On the other hand, there are people in the documents who we name that were charged with obstruction of justice or charged with other crimes, and the fact that they hid evidence came into play. And some of those people are still senior executives at the company. So there's also the question of the company liability potentially for some of these things. It was clearly authorized by the leadership of the company in theory, that could lead to liability still. But it is a different company.
And just very quickly, Joseph, I mean, we read that statement from the senior vice president of Uber currently, but was there a response from Travis Kalanick, who was in charge at the time?
Yes. So it is, I would say, less repentant. It said that he didn't authorize any obstruction of justice. He didn't break any laws. And, you know, he once again attacked the taxi industry as being having a sort of cartel and being protected by politicians. So he was much more fiery in his defense, whereas Uber is sort of putting the blame on him, at least implicitly.
Well, your account certainly reads like something out of a Hollywood movie script
really
almost in terms of its drama.
I think you have a novel there, Joseph.
Joseph Menn. Joseph, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.